Le mec à droite avec le col roulé, il faut le convaincre. Il y est ou pas? Bonjour, je vois que le micro fonctionne. On voulait vous présenter Advertiser, la régie de l'affichage itinérant.
So we're going to talk about mobile advertising, which means advertising on trucks, but also on taxis and other vehicles. So I'm the head of the European fleet. My name is Frank. This is Juliette, our product manager, and she's going to present our company. Well, we're going to present the company. We also have our founder in the room, and we're available to speak to you after our presentation. And if you have any questions, please go ahead. So we're an advertising company, an advertising agency. So we're the middleman between a company that wants to advertise and the media operator. And in this particular case, that media is the back of a truck or any other public transport vehicle. So our agency was founded in 2019. We have around 14 employees. We have our initial, we have been mainly, well, we've been working in France, but this year we're going to have 2 new offices in the UK and in Italy. So we're going to show you a few examples of our campaigns. Our aim is to offer a new medium for advertisers, notably in cities which do not tend to have advertising anymore, billboards. And we also provide figures to show the impact of advertisers' communication on their results. So we offer transport companies and passenger transport companies and goods transport companies revenues because the advertising is charged for. So we advertise for various different sectors, whether it be the entertainment world, a Netflix campaign, for example, or the hotel sector. And we also have a great presence on the mobility sector. We have done a lot of campaigns for the SNCF train company, but also for BlaBlaCar, the car sharing or the ride sharing company. We've also done campaigns for the automotive sector as well as logistics sector. So we have services for B2B players whose objectives are aimed at haulage companies or people who use the roads in general. So just an example of our campaign, one of our campaigns. The aim of this campaign was to increase the number of visitors to a shop, to a store, the Valley Village store, and depending on the objective, for a particular driver, we're going to define an optimal advertising plan. So here there's not only the advert on the car, you also have the digital advertising on the phone. And this shows you how you can improve visitor numbers in a store. And you can, with this particular car, we reached more than 1.5 million people. And that shows you how we can really record and collect data on how much impact and how many people view our adverts. This was a commercial for a film, in this case, in fact, a TV series with Jean-Claude Van Damme. There was a campaign which involved 200 trucks across France this summer. And we surveyed a particular demographic, men of a particular age, people aged 25 to 64, and we realized that more than 47% of people from this demographic who had seen this commercial, which showed the real impact of the advert and on the fact that people remembered it, and we also showed that people would use this information, the fact they'd seen it, to go and find out more about this Netflix series on the internet. So we offer value for advertisers. Our case studies show this. We have also done a case study for haulage companies, but haulage companies are not used to working with advertisers. The first factor is we bring profit margins, net profit margins, which is difficult to demonstrate to transport companies to haulage companies. And thanks to the haulage companies, we saw that we were able to still continue shopping during the pandemic. And this industry has low and small profit margins, but when we carry out an advertising campaign on the back of a truck, we show them that we are bringing them profit margins and not just turnover. This is pure profit for them, and all operational costs are covered by us. We absorb them, whether it be installing the frame, the advert itself on the back of the truck, and prospecting too. Advertisers also have the right to veto a campaign. For example, if a truck might supply a particular supermarket, they don't want to be advertising for a different supermarket, so they are allowed to choose not to run a campaign. The advertising features a lot of solution tracking. There are very few actual trailers which are tracked. The metrics are done for free. It allows advertisers to, the tracking allows advertisers to know where their advertisements are being seen and where they are in the country. We can provide them with that information. So if we have 5 campaigns running over 4 weeks per campaign, we use our own tarpaulin system, our PVC tarpaulin system, which has it's the same color as the truck. So just a quick overview of this slide. This is a very technical solution which we put on the back of trucks. We install a frame, 2 aluminium bars, one at the top, one at the bottom, 2.60 meters between them. And these aluminium bars have been patented. We install them with rivets, or we stick them on if it's a refrigerated vehicle. This is done by the people who work for us on the operational side. 100% of the costs are covered by our teams. And this is done when the vehicle isn't being used, typically on a Saturday when the haulier haulage company isn't using the truck, and it's easily washable. This slide explains the profit margin for advertising. So we have haulage companies for which we have done 7 or 8 campaigns in the years. Here you see the margins for 4 campaigns per year. This is something very realistic, which is quite common. If we have 100 trucks, 5 trucks out of 100 in the fleet which are advertising, you can see the figures on the screen here. So this table essentially gives you an idea. If you have 4 campaigns on 100 trucks, Adriver is going to pay you 26,000 euros.
So this takes 2 hauliers. I can't mention who they are, but they work with us. One did 7 campaigns during the year, and the other one did 8 campaigns with us. Between 40 and 60 campaigns, trucks per campaign. Monoprix, Ouigo, BlaBlaCar. The other campaign we talked about, Netflix, Ibis, Ouigo, B2B for B2C campaign as well for windshields that can transport that can be repaired, and this is over the last 12 months. So concretely, how's it happen for a haulier? First of all, we're going to qualify their fleet. In other words, we want to know the number of trailers they have that are available for Advertiser, and we take into account the number of depots and the number of trucks per depot so that we can roll out our campaign. The second thing we're going to do is get them to sign a lease contract. So we can have an agreement with the haulier and define a number of conditions and details. For example, the fact that the vehicles need to be trailered and that they have to be going on the roads for a number of kilometers a day. And then we set up these frames with professionals who do this on Saturdays. We also have various applications that can be used to make sure that the cables and the frames have been set up properly. And then and this is traced. And then the last thing as well, this is what leads us to long-term relationship with the hauliers. It's the campaigns. Well, the campaigns will allow us to remunerate the haulage companies. And this framework agreement allows us to establish the remuneration. Now, for the data portion, what we're going to suggest to the hauliers is the net margin and also the date, because they're going to have a box using a partner solution. And to reassure these hauliers, what you should know is that we keep this raw data not more than 24 hours, and this raw data is going to allow us to compare GPS information from the lorry to measure how effective this campaign is. But given that, we're going to cluster the data. Then this will give us statistics for our ad clients, types of roads that the trucks has been driven over, etc., and so that they can look at the business impact. And then after that, there's another aim to qualify the fleet of the haulage company to maximize these targets, whether they be geographic or otherwise, to work with the most effective haulier for the most effective campaign. There are not many of us here, so do feel free to ask any questions should you have any questions about what we've just said. Now I'm going to speak more about this ad agency portion, or the ad client portion. Why are we using this type of vehicle now, this type of platform? Mobility is increasing. People are living more and more from their work site, but of course there is remote working as well. People are moving away from cities, and cars remain a favorite way of getting to work. So with 181 million commutes done in France, trucks are very interesting. And also trucks give great visibility of 15 seconds. And this allows us to position ourselves compared to other media, such as the written press, TV and radio as well, and even the internet, so that we can measure our messages. And this is very important. Today, people are just full of ad blocks and other types of digital things that they've received as spams or others. And we realize with all of these surveys that we've done with Ipsos, really, we've realized that trucks and lorries are a great platform for this and have a strong impact. Now, let's talk about a route, how an ad agency would work with Advertiser. We have an innovation for the advisory side of our work. So what we do upstream from the campaign, we take into account the needs of the ad customer, what coverage they want in geography, what age coverage they want as well, specific behavioral patterns or other ways of consumerism. We're going to take their business aims into account to see what they're trying to do, drive to store or increase their market penetration, and look at their budgets. And then after that, with our algorithm and the data that we have and the truck tracking and also previous campaigns and our knowledge of mobility flows of populations, we're going to propose an optimized solution with the partners that we have today. We have trucks and mobile advertising. We also have partnerships with Spotify, Waze, and the radio as well to emphasize the message and make the campaign more effective. Now, during the campaign, we're going to provide a regular performance report to the ad agency, and then at the end, emit a report with the KPIs for the customer. What we wanted to implement was operational excellence that would allow us to be as programmatic as possible. Of course, we do outside or outdoor signage, but we want to be as quick on our toes as possible, to be as digital as possible, and to get great performances like one gets with digital. So the global process doesn't take more than 3 weeks to set up for this campaign. We've got a dedicated team working on these ads so that this will be industrialized and meet the visibility aims. These things must be seen from 70 meters away. So we work in the field with the hauliers as well. They validate the campaign and therefore can refuse if some of the ad customers do not agree with them. So we want to be as effective and reactive as possible for their aims. Now, just as an overview, to wrap this up, we want to develop a number of different platforms to meet as many aims as possible. So this involves development of the fleet. Today, we suggest trucks, light commercial vehicles as well, and we have a special application for loaders, whether they have their own fleet or not, and drive-to-store options as well, such as Lidl and Intermarché. So we also want to continue to develop this flood for other things such as coaches and buses and scooters in Italy. We also want to develop and have a greater geographic coverage. We're in France, UK, and Italy right now. In the future, we do hope it'll be Germany and other countries even further off. Now, for the ad customers or ad clients, we've got a lot of ad people. We've got to B2C, we've got e-commerce, we've got B2B, we've got institutional, campaign for Andorra soon, and we also did a campaign for the food bank with a very special tariff for basically it's pro bono work we're doing for this charitable association. We want to work locally and we'll work with more partnerships to meet a number of goals and aims and budgets. So we really care about this subject. We want to be as committed and responsible an agency as possible. We really want to be concrete when we're talking about social responsibility, corporate social responsibility, CSR. First thing, we don't use trucks just for advertising purposes only. It's only because they're transporting either passengers or goods. Now, we do put advertising on these vehicles, but it does not add to CO2 emissions because these vehicles are already on the road. Of course, this is insufficient because haulage is a sector that does need to contribute to the energy transition, of course, especially heavy-duty heavy goods vehicles. So we're very much in favor of unknown fuels, but which are alternative fuels. HVO is one of them that is going to allow us to drop 90% of CO2 emissions of diesel. So nine trucks with HVO emit as much as one single diesel truck. Now this fuel exists and is coming into Europe. Now there's the B100 that is distributed by Avril in France, Haulier. This is based on rapeseed and allows us to reduce emissions by 60%. For us at Advertiser, we want to green up our fleet and contribute to greening up the fleets of our customers and prospective customers, signing good partnerships and providing good margins for these partners. Now, this margin can be used by hauliers to accelerate their energy transition because this is a costly process, moving towards more fleets, which really are trucks that reduce CO2. Now, this will allow us to hold a certain justification with some of our ad partners because the ad partners are conscious of this problem as well, that some of these campaigns really do need to limit their CO2. And therefore, we can really put forward our green fleet for our ad customers now. That's for CSR. Now, we do pro bono actions as well, free actions for things such as the food bank. We've already had one campaign. You see this on the screen. And in the future, we'll have other pro bono campaigns for NGOs that have messages that make sense and that allow us to have make a citizen endeavor.
So one final thing on the CSR. We have a company in London, a company which uses London buses in Paris, and we put the advertising on these buses, and these buses have hybrid and electric vehicle engines. So please don't hesitate to ask us any questions you might have. We have Juliette here, Frank, also founder Julien. We have Adeline at the back of the room. We also have representatives for Advertiser in the UK and in Italy, and soon in other countries in Europe. Thank you very much. We also have a stand, and if you want to go and see the advertising frames, these frames are installed on Haulier trucks at their Haulier stand. Thank you.
Est-ce que vous avez des questions?
Any questions?